So today I'm going to bring you a few observations and then also research that we've done, the results of research with operators around the world. So I'll probably just hop into this. Which way do I point this? So every year since the beginning of NFV, so in 2013 we did our first global survey of operators on what they're planning to do with SDN and NFV, what the barriers, drivers, what use cases, et cetera, are they investing in. So we're right now developing our 6th annual survey, but last year in our 5th annual survey, we had operators that represent 61% of the world's telecom capex from all over the world, ranging from all sorts of operators. And with that amount of capex, of course, we had a lot of incumbents. We didn't disqualify anybody. Every one of the 35 operators that we talked to were planning to deploy or already deploying SDN, and all were similarly NFV. So 5 years ago, I tried to figure out what is a network going to look like in the future. What my abstraction of what the network's going to look like with SDN and NFV. And at the time, we figured out what's the real purpose. Real purpose is to get to agility. In fact, that's what operators say the #1 driver for SDN and NFV really is agility for new services and hopefully new revenues with that. So I vetted this logical construct of what an operator network looks like after SDN and NFV with a number of CTOs or CTO office folks from operators and also from the major vendors. So this is where I came up with the concept of orchestrator of orchestrators. And really today you start with a domain. Typically, operators are starting with a domain orchestration and then piece together some domains with a multi-domain orchestrator. And in the end, the big domain orchestrator in the sky, cross-domain orchestrator, is a orchestrator of orchestrators. So it's logically centralized. There's service models for the service control and map. There's a network control and device models here. Here we know Yang and Tosca are used here. But the idea of the network is that there's domain orchestration and controllers. Then, of course, there's the network equipment that over time gets fine-tuned for SDN and NFV. Certainly a lot of servers in the network along my bottom row here. But the purpose then of the network is that you get instrumentation or telemetry to gather network and subscriber behavior, and then you do real-time analytics at that point, and this is where ZTA comes in, the closed-loop automation. I could draw a bunch of lines back to the network and the orchestration layers at this point, but it gets too messy. But basically, this is where the closed loop happens, and this conference is about how do you automate. You have to automate at the bottom, and you have to automate at the top. So this represents the automation in the pieces of the network as we start along. And then feedback to the big data lake, policy, QoE, to the OSS, BSS, policy input, feeding back into the orchestrator of orchestrators. But of course, now we're looking at the OSS, BSS, and the orchestrator of orchestrators. They're becoming the same things. ONAP's trying to fill in that space, a lot of it. And certainly Netcracker and other Nokia, Amdocs, others are evolving their OSS, BSS platforms and products to really be that orchestrator of orchestrators. So, but what's the purpose of this is really a cycle of automation. And that's what I've been saying for several years. And now we're finally getting to an industry group, a focus on that automation. So it's fascinating to see what's going to happen with, I'm short-terming it to ZTA or ZSM. So deployments in general to date have been a domain at a time, like SD-WAN or virtual CPE or next-gen voice, IMS. Security is always around as an issue, a problem, and mobile core, etc. So we've been starting a use case at a time. So what do operators believe the revenue is going to come from? From SDN and NFV-based services, same survey, the top two services are SD-WAN and the virtual CPE, that is the enterprise CPE opportunity. 100% of the operators in the last 3 years of our survey have said they're deploying or will deploy the virtual CPE use case. They've been working on it for quite a while, and a few operators are deploying. Okay, so where are the VNFs where's the NFVI stack and the VNFs going to be run? 70% of the operators say in some kind of central data center. 85% say in some data center near a CO. 97% of the operators say we're eventually going to execute VNFs in a CO. Not every CO, but what I call smart COs, COs with a mini data center. And 82% of the operators say we're going to deploy on UCPE, on CPE at customer prem. So the VNF software and ZTA goes there, goes everywhere, really. Just a note about Cord, we've heard about that. We've done 2 years in a row, and both of those 2 years, 70% of the operators say they plan to deploy Cord. And I won't go into that too much. So I'm down to my time. So conclusions, there's no doubt operators are doing SDN and NFV, and they need zero touch and automation. The VNFs are going to be deployed in smart COs, those with a mini data center. 97% of the operators say that. And then the top services are SD-WAN, according to operators. So this says there's going to be SD-WAN VNFs in a lot of places. And just, I didn't say too much about UCPE, but our forecast says that there'll be tens of thousands of units deployed this year and next. Pretty big market. And with that, I got 20 seconds left, so I'm going to... Anybody have a question, you can ask me later, okay? Because we'll stay on time this way. So thank you.